President Trump has confirmed additional Patriot air defense systems are being sent to Ukraine. On Monday, he announced a new delivery of weapon sales to Ukraine to be paid for by other NATO members. Speaking to reporters at Joint Base Andrews, Mr. Trump said he hasn't spoken to President Putin since warning him of more tariffs on Russia if it didn't reach a ceasefire deal with Ukraine soon.
They're already being shipped.
From what countries?
They're coming in from Germany and then replaced by Germany, and in all cases, the United States gets paid back in full. So what's happening, as you know, is the European Union, if you look, mostly European Union stuff, but let's put it in the form of NATO. It's very similar. But NATO is going to pay us back for everything. In some cases, we're going to be paid back by countries of the European Union directly. But we're always getting our money back in full. So we're not going to have any more investment to make. We're getting our money back in full.
Meanwhile, Russian drones and missiles attacked wide areas of Ukraine in the early hours of Wednesday. 2 people were killed in a strike near Kupiansk. In Ukraine's second city, Kharkiv, at least 17 explosions were recorded in an attack lasting 20 minutes. The regional governor there says 3 people have been injured. Drones and missiles also knocked out power and water supplies in Kryvyi in the southeast. Our correspondent Oksana Kundurenko is in Lviv. She says people are still in a state of high alert.
Well, it is striking that no place is safe in Ukraine. I'm here in this idyllic village just outside Lviv, and yesterday when I arrived, my family were checking their phones and there was an air raid alert even here, even though we didn't hear specifically any bangs or any noise, but it was very, very much in the air, this tension. I also traveled throughout many regions yesterday, throughout several cities, and it is striking how vibrant and lively Ukraine is during the day and how shockingly silent and quiet and empty it is at night. It's a curfew, no one is driving, there are checkpoints, and when you are on the road you can see the billboards advertising something, and then you see billboards recruiting for the army or asking people to donate. So the feeling is there that nowhere in Ukraine is safe. I'm waking up to all this news. Almost every city, as you said, has been attacked in the west of Ukraine, in the center, in the south. I can hear that Vinnytsia has been attacked. So it's almost a new normal for people to go and hide at night and just to be, worried about their families every day.
Well, we can now speak to Hannah Chal, Editor-in-Chief of Ukraine Analytica and Senior Fellow with the Transatlantic Defence and Security Programme. Thank you for joining us on BBC News. Realistically speaking, what difference will these defence systems make in this war?
First of all, we hope at least that's been announced that in that new package, it is not only air defense systems that are so important for Ukraine, but also other types of ammunition, because you need not only to intercept missiles or the drones, but also to target the places from where they are launched, and that would be much more efficient. So the Patriot systems are extremely important. They are not against the drones, but against the ballistic missiles, especially against the Kinjal missiles that only Patriots can intercept. And what we saw within the last 2 months is that Russia increased both the drones attacks, but also the ballistic missiles attacks against all parts of Ukraine.
You mentioned there are hopes of other weapons coming to Ukraine. Ukraine continues to call for offensive long-range missiles. Is there hope now that the Trump administration might be open to sending those types of weapons?
There were conversations, there were information in media, but also from the diplomats that the current administration is more open for the possibility of the long-range strikes against the Russian territory, because this understanding is finally coming. Let's remember that 2 years ago, everybody was speaking like, oh, no HIMARS for Ukraine. 40 kilometers is already too dangerous, or then it was for 100 kilometers. Then Storm Shadows, that would be the major escalation. Nothing happened. We just saw the effectiveness, because when you target the stockpile of ammunition or the airfield from where these jets are starting that launch ballistic missiles, that is definitely much more effective than intercepting each night 100 of the different type. From 100 till, let's say, the biggest we had 700 missiles and drones per one night.
And Hannah, just briefly, Ukraine has called for more sanctions on Russia in order for Russia to be able to agree to a peace deal. What remaining US sanctions are there that could be imposed on Russia?
There are still a lot of sanctions that can be imposed against the individual enterprises. A lot of the military production facilities in Ukraine, in Russia, are still not under the sanctions. But first of all, that is definitely the oil exports, because that would make the Russian economy surviving and sponsoring this war. And here we know that the so-called secondary sanctions are important against India, China, and others who are buying enormous amount of the discounted Russian energy resources.
Hannah Chal, editor-in-chief at Ukraine at Analytica. Thank you for joining us on BBC News.